6 months, I lost 65 pounds. I was working out 3 times a day. I was eating almost zero carbs, 6 meals a day, training in the gym 6 days a week, sleeping less than 5 hours a night, and it almost broke me. Are you looking to lose weight without losing your mind like I did? Well, in today's video, I'm gonna teach you everything I did to lose 65 pounds in 6 months, but I'm gonna share specifically how I would do things completely differently if I had to do it all over again. What's up, guys? Josiah Novak, owner of The True Transformation, where I help guys step into their potential and actually realize what they're capable of through the power of health and fitness. I simply believe that fitness is the lowest hanging fruit to improving all areas of life, and you are more than capable of leveling up how you look, how you feel, and I'm here to help you do that. So in today's video, I wanna map out exactly how I lost 65 pounds. I wanna talk about the key mistakes that I made that made things completely unsustainable. I wanna talk about exactly what I would do differently if I had to do it all over again, and some of the lessons that I learned that I know will help you start transforming your body right away. But what was the one mistake that kept ruining my progress, and how can you avoid it? Because losing 65 pounds wasn't the problem, it was just how I did it. So the first biggest mistake that I made was the wake-up test. I call this the wake-up test because it's a test that I tell my clients to do, which, by the way, if you're interested in learning more about how we help guys step into their potential, rise up in their standards, and ultimately look and feel their best with their shirt off or in a suit or whatever the heck you wear, there's a bunch of resources for you to check out in the description below. But this wake-up test that I have all our clients do is a test you're gonna do right when you wake up. And it's really, really simple. It's a question that you ask yourself, and that question is this: can I see myself following this workout plan? Can I see myself eating this way? Can I see myself sticking to this type of schedule for a very, very long period of time? Way longer than it's gonna take to get you the result, past that point, and maybe even forever. If the answer is no, there's gonna have to be some tweaks. Now, I'm not here to tell you that it's always gonna be perfectly comfortable, but I can remember when I was losing 65 pounds, I was getting up every day dreading my entire day. I was dreading not just the fitness side of things, but I was dreading all my responsibilities, from having to go to work to maybe spending time with friends, having to do things around my house, having to run errands. It all just became really stressful because my entire life was centered around this really unsustainable way of getting in shape. Starting with 3 workouts a day. Now, you might be wondering, what do you mean by 3 workouts a day? Well, I'll break it down for you. So you can picture this. My alarm clock would go off at 4:45 in the morning. I would quickly get up, drink some water. I would take a fat burner. Back then I was taking this product called Hydroxycut. Some of you might know or have heard of Hydroxycut, but it's glorified high potency caffeine that would wake me up and really just turn my central nervous system on and my brain on, kind of. I would drive about 5 minutes down the road to the local gym. I would hop on the step mill, which is just the stair climber. And it started by, for a period of time, doing about 30 minutes of fasted cardio in the morning, because everybody told me, if you really want to lose fat, you got to do cardio fasted without any food in your stomach. That's a myth that's been disproven since this point, but eventually I got up to getting up in the morning and doing an hour on the step mill. So I started getting up at 4:30, rush to the gym, do an hour on the step mill, and come back. My second workout would take place after work. And this is where I would go to the gym and I would train with weights for about an hour. And then I would rest for a small period of time. And then I would either go home and walk around my neighborhood for another 45 minutes, or I would stay at the gym and do another 45 minutes on the step mill. So I was spending almost 2 hours in the gym every single night, knocking out 2 additional workouts. Now, of course, I got super burned out, not only physically, but mentally. I started to really hate the gym. Yeah, it was pretty cool getting down to really low levels of body fat and starting to see my body really start to come together. It was really burning me out to get down to low levels of body fat. It was cool to see my body changing and to see the work starting to pay off, but I was doing things the hard way. I started to have like crazy mood swings. My whole body was aching, little injuries like elbow tendonitis. My shoulder was hurting, my knees were hurting. I just was beating myself into the ground. Now, keep in mind, this happened when I was in my early 20s. And there's no way my body would be able to handle that kind of punishment today. I'm actually surprised I was able to handle that even back then. Starting with the workouts, how would I do things differently? Well, first and foremost, let's just talk about the cardio aspect. I do believe cardio is important for a healthy cardiovascular system. Your heart, your lungs, your blood flow, everything needs to be dialed in on that front. Otherwise, you're risking long-term health issues. What I would do though instead is I would commit to a daily movement protocol. This would probably be centered around a certain amount of steps that I would try to hit every single day, mostly from just lifestyle friendly changes to my habits. Things like walking my dogs maybe an additional amount during the day, walking more when given the chance. So parking further away from the store, getting up from my desk and walking around the house, or taking a walk around my neighborhood anytime I'd feel any kind of tired. Now, that being said, I don't think doing zero cardio in the gym makes sense. A couple times a week, I would probably throw in something like the step mill for 30 minutes once or twice a week to get my heart rate up past low zone 2 and actually start to build more of some conditioning for my heart and lungs. But I wouldn't be living on the step mill like I did back then. Eventually, the body gets used to this kind of cardio and your metabolism will then slow down to accommodate all this extra work you're doing, and it just gets harder and harder to lose fat. So cardio shouldn't be what you lean on for fat loss. That should come from your nutrition, which of course we'll talk about. But this cardio approach that I had just burned me out so badly that I think I definitely lost muscle throughout the process because I just didn't have the energy to hit the gym. Speaking of training, here's what I would switch. I definitely would not train 6 days a week. You need to have some recovery, especially a guy like me now with 2 kids. I coach my kids' sports during the week and on the weekends. My wife and I want to spend time together. I want to have good energy to handle the things that need to be handled every day for my business, for my family. So training just wears you out if you're doing it that much. I like a solid 3 to maybe 4 day split for most guys. If you're someone who really needs the gym for mental health purposes and you just want to feel empowered, and you need to go to the gym almost every day. Do 2 days of cardio, 4 days of lifting, and then 1 day, maybe go into the sauna and do some stretching, do some recovery stuff. But I definitely would not train 6 days a week. The other thing that I didn't mention about my training that I think is a crucial thing to remember is this. I would go in the gym and oftentimes I was just doing a ton of reps thinking, man, the more reps and more volume I do, the more I'm burning fat. In reality, I really wasn't sending a muscle building signal to my body. I should have really stayed in a strength rep range, somewhere in the range of 4 to 10 reps, pretty much 99% of the time. But I found myself creeping into like the 15 to 20 rep range thinking, man, it's just more reps. I must be burning more calories, when I was probably doing the opposite. Now keep in mind, I have something for you that I think will really help. It's called our 7-day momentum builder shred. This is not going to get you ripped in 7 days. What this is going to do is going to help you feel good again, right? I want to help you step up into a place where you're reaching close to your potential and maybe even maximizing your abilities when it comes to how you look and feel. I know so many people out there will guilt you into getting in shape, telling you how sloppy you look and all this stuff around, your car and your clothes and your watch. They don't make you anything if you're not ripped and jacked and all that stuff. And while I agree it's probably not good to rely on materialistic stuff to show off your success, I just want you to feel great, right? I want you to wake up feeling like the man you were born to be. The guy who leads his family and does it through not just his efforts with his career and role as a family man, but your efforts with how you take care of yourself physically, right? Because your wife, your kids, and your peers are all going to feed off of that energy that you can provide them. So I have this 7-day protocol. It's in the description below. You can go check it out. It's absolutely free. I'll even put it in the comment section so you can quickly access it. All I ask in return is your email address. It's completely free. It'll give you a starting point. And if that goes well, then we can talk about working together. But that's your first step, so go check that out. Now, let's talk about nutrition. So I was eating 6 meals a day. I can remember going to the gym in the morning, doing my cardio, coming back, getting ready for work. Then my first meal of the day was always egg whites and oatmeal. Totally boring, totally awful, but that was meal number 1. And then I would have a protein shake with a little bit of peanut butter. Then I would have 2 meals of chicken and a spoon of peanut butter. And then I would come home and I would have a ground beef patty or 2, and then I'd finish my day with another protein shake. So 6 meals, technically 2 of them were protein shakes and 4 were whole food meals. But as you can tell, this meal plan, not sustainable. I mean, I only listed out like 4 different foods. I even did a video on the 5 foods I ate to get super ripped and lose 50 pounds in 5 months. You can check that out because now I give a little bit of context around how I would take very basic foods and make them so much better. But in the meantime, I want to teach you what I would do differently. Meal timing became this like really stressful chore where if I didn't eat every 2 hours, oh my gosh, my metabolism was going to slow down and my fat loss efforts would come crashing down. Once again, another myth that I just didn't know any better. I thought this is the way, this is how it has to be. But it's just not true. You can ultimately still achieve fat loss, even eating just once a day. What I would probably recommend now, what I do now, is I don't eat in the morning. I go to the gym in the morning and I lift weights. I probably have a coffee, usually most mid-mornings with a little bit of cream, so I'm not like completely fasted. I'll have my first real food meal around lunchtime. And I'm a breakfast food guy, so I'm lucky enough to get to work from home. and I'll now have like 3 or 4 eggs and a couple English muffins or a bagel or some toast just because I like that meal. Sometimes I'll throw in some fruit if I'm craving some sugar, but most of the time it's really just simple. I might even throw a little bit of spinach into my eggs sometimes just to give me a little bit of vitamins and minerals, but I substitute my need for vitamins and minerals with actual multivitamins and minerals. And of course, as you can hear, I now eat carbs, which back then I cut all my carbs. I was eating chicken, peanut butter, egg whites. I did have some carbs from oatmeal, but it was like half a cup of oatmeal. It was very little carbs. And in fact, it was actually about half a cup of oatmeal, but therein lies the rub. I was actually kicking myself out of the plan was trying to get me into, which was ketosis, by having those carbs. So I was actually feeling awful. Right? I should have just completely eliminated carbs at that level. I should have not had any carbs in my system whatsoever. But I kept that oatmeal in because I guess the myth back then was that you needed just a little bit of carbs to survive. But I just felt terrible. I would have been better off having a bunch of eggs in the morning and going more like salmon for lunch and red meat if I was going to go low carb. Yeah, I lost a ton of weight really quick, especially cutting out carbs because all the water that got retained from having more carbs was gone. So the scale started to come down really fast. But then eventually it slowed down and it was at that normal pace of just like 1 pound a week, 1.5 pounds every 2 weeks. Like it became really slow and frustrating because I couldn't have carbs. And I'll be honest, like it led to some serious binge eating issues. There were times where, because I was working with a coach who will remain nameless, there were times where I was given the opportunity to have a cheat meal, right? And it was basically like, try to control yourself, don't go crazy. And I was gonna go ballistic. I had like a whole pizza. I had appetizers. I had ice cream by the gallon. Like it was just a free for all because I was so deprived and so miserable that as soon as I started eating anything that tasted good, I was like a madman. So I would highly recommend doing something that's sustainable, even if it means slightly slower results. I think long-term you'll end up winning and you'll get the results you want probably faster because you keep taking steps forward instead of falling back into old habits because you can't sustain this unsustainable plan. Now, I mentioned sleep as something that I didn't pay attention to back then. Now, I will say, I think maybe back then I had more energy because I had less going on. I didn't have any kids, wasn't married. All I had was fitness, my job, and a little bit of a social life. So sleeping 5 hours a night, I guess, was sustainable for me back then. Somehow I got through it. I really don't know how I did it, but 5 hours a night was something that I found myself falling into pretty repeatedly. Nowadays, if I sleep less than 7 hours, I feel pretty terrible. So the thing about sleep that most people don't realize is it really helps control your appetite. If you have zero appetite control, good luck sticking with your diet, right? You're gonna need to control the most important thing, which is the food that goes in your mouth. So if you're not sleeping great and you're waking up throughout the night, or you're going to bed really late and you're waking up really early, trying to burn the candle at both ends, that can really cause some problems. So for me, I put a focus on sleep and I make sure I have a pretty solid sleep routine. I try to go to sleep at the same time every night, wake up at the same time every morning. Is it just part of becoming a more responsible adult down as you get older? I guess, right? But I know for fat loss, sleep is paramount, especially today for me, nearing my 40th birthday at the time of the filming of this. I can tell you sleep is something you're gonna wanna pay attention to. In fact, inside of our 7-day momentum builder challenge, I teach you the importance of sleep. You can check out the whole challenge. 7 days is absolutely free. It's a great place to start by going to the link in the description of this video. And here's a couple other things that I do differently to help you start getting more balance and results right now. So the lesson one is, balance over extremes. I know when it comes to being successful, there's definitely an argument for being out of balance. And I don't want to throw just another life lesson at you that all these influencers throw at you, like you should be balanced, or the opposite of that, which is like, there's no room for balance if you want to be successful. I just think when it comes to fitness, we do need to find a pretty good, healthy balance. Otherwise, we're risking getting burnt out. We're risking really bad habits that we get into with how we treat ourselves. And we're just going to get frustrated. At the end of the day, you're going to get to a point where you burn out and then you go back to the old way. Then you look in the mirror one day and you're like, man, I just cannot seem to make progress. Because sustainable fat loss comes from a manageable calorie deficit that you can stick to day in and day out. It's why I like to fast in the morning so that I create the deficit in the morning and then I eat, the right amount of calories the rest of the day. But I'd rather willpower my way through the morning than willpower my way through the evening where my cravings are much stronger and my fatigue is set in from the day. I'm more likely to reach for something that might put me over my calories. So I like to have a lot of calories left at the end of the day and feel satiated and satisfied. And with workouts, the other lesson is quality over quantity. I want 3 to 4 really good focused workouts versus trying to do 5, 6, or even 7 workouts that by the time I'm on workout 5 or 6, I'm just going through the motions, man. I don't even want to be there. I have other things I got to be doing. And The gym just doesn't take priority over my family, especially on the weekends. So I like to knock out my workouts during the week and then allow myself to recover and enjoy life on the weekends. And lesson number 3, to go hand in hand with that, is recovery. Recovery is key. You need to sleep. You need to allow your body to recharge, and get dialed in for the next workout. This is a long game, right? Like, fitness is not a race, it's not a sprint, it's not a marathon. It's truly a game we play, hopefully for the rest of our lives. We want to be in the game. We don't want to be on the bench. We don't want to feel sidelined. What I can tell you is you have all the opportunity in the world to make this a lifelong thing. You're more than capable. I promise you this. If I can do it, so can you. Just make sure you allow yourself to recover. One of the big lessons is consistency will beat intensity over the course of time. Is there a time and place to be more intense with your workouts? Absolutely. If you're training for a very performance-driven goal, like a high rocks or a marathon, or an Ironman or a 5K or whatever it is, you're gonna have some pretty intense workouts. That is for sure. But when it comes to fat loss, there's a old bodybuilder named Lee Haney who said, stimulate, don't annihilate. And for me, the takeaway there is consistently being good versus occasionally being great is the answer. That's where people win long-term with this whole crazy thing called health and fitness. So losing the 65 pounds in 6 months really wasn't the ultimate prize here. It was really all the lessons that I acquired from doing it the wrong way that then led to me figuring it out the right way and finally following a plan and a system that allowed me to sustain the results I have now for the better part of the last 15 years. Because I'll tell you, once I lost those 65 pounds doing things the wrong way, I quickly gained back a lot of it. And I had a few years where it was just a roller coaster ride. And what eventually helped me get past that was finding people smarter than me, finding people who had figured it out, who I invested in, watching videos like this, hiring fitness coaches, hiring guys who became mentors and lifelong friends of mine who helped me get out of this crazy rut that was this unsustainable way of doing things. It's what led to building the True Transformation, our company that we run now. There was a good friend of mine named Jason Phillips back in the day who really taught me this flexible dieting thing, right? Who taught me that, hey, you don't have to stick with just bodybuilding. You can do other things, even like CrossFit style workouts. I'm not saying CrossFit's the way to go. In fact, I highly discourage people from doing CrossFit for weight loss, but it could be a fun way of approaching your training from time to time. You don't have to stay stuck into a mold unless you love it, right? Unless that's just your thing, then by all means. But as a dad, as a business owner, as a father, a husband, I just want to lead my family. And I know you do too. And so I'm here to tell you, you can absolutely do it. I'm not going to tell you like, oh my gosh, you're not a real man if you're not ripped, or if you feel uncomfortable taking your shirt off, you're a loser. Like, you already don't feel great about yourself. So I'm here to lift you up, man. Like, I've been in your shoes. I understand the mental aspect of it. I know how draining it can be to just not feel comfortable. And over time, that really wears on you. And I know eventually, for me at least, I turn into a guy that I don't want to be if I'm not taking care of myself. And so every day when we're called to do what we're called to do, which is lead our families, be really godly men, push ourselves to do more in terms of achievement, in terms of, gaining traction or finding success. Like, there's a lot of stuff coming our way. And so all I can tell you is being healthy and fit is going to make life a whole heck of a lot easier. Being out of shape, it's not going to make it easier. It's going to make it harder, more than likely. If you're called to step into a healthier and more fit version of yourself, to lead yourself, be a shining example for your family, but also just really feel good about yourself with your shirt off, of course, looking awesome. That's a huge aspect of it. But you want to do things the permanent way. You're done with trying the stuff that doesn't work. You're done with all the diets, all the little supplements, all the nonsense. Then I'm here to tell you we can help, all right? So let me just be the guinea pig for you, right? I already made all the mistakes, the ones I mentioned in this video. Let me help you avoid another mistake, and that is not taking action, all right? I sat on all sorts of really good options for many years thinking, nope, the hardest one has to be the best way, and that's just not the case. So that's why I put together the 7-day Momentum Builder Shred, and you can go check it out right now. It's free. All you gotta do is give me your email, and then I'm gonna send you an email every day for 7 days. It's gonna help you get some serious results, help you feel better, help you get some momentum. And then if you're called to, we can talk about getting you to the next step. But the link to do all that is below. I'm gonna leave you right here with this thought: life moves fast. Go make it count. I'll talk to you in the next video. Peace.